Hello guys, this is Mohsin. I am interacting with you from my YouTube channel Business Innovation. Today we are going to start our 10th lesson of Planning Engineer and Primavera tutorials. The topic which we will discuss in today's lesson is duration types in Primavera P6. So we have different types of duration types in Primavera P6. The first one is fixed duration and unit, fixed duration and unit per time, fixed unit per time. If we see the activity window, in activity window of Primavera P6 we have the activity detail window here. In activity detail window, in general we have activity types which was discussed before. We have different types of activities. Now we will discuss the duration types in Primavera P6. These types are given here: fixed duration and unit, fixed duration and unit per time, fixed unit and fixed unit per time. Now duration type is important setting that determine how you want P6 to behave when the resources are added to the activity. So the duration type is important when you assign resources to the activity. If your schedule is without resources, then the activity duration will be controlled by you, and the duration type will have no impact on your schedule. So if your schedule is without resources, then there will be no use of keeping any duration type for the activity. If you are working resources, then the duration type become very important. So if you are dealing with the resources, then the type of duration type is important. For better understanding, let us understand few things. First of all, duration. That is the total number of working days of an activity. So duration is the total working days of activity. Unit per time is the daily effort plan for each resource of activity. Unit per time is actually the productivity per day or the requirement of a resource on the daily basis. For example, if you have an excavator, if you need excavator for an activity, so how much excavator you need for an activity on daily basis. Then you have unit is the total effort plan for each resource of activity. If the activity duration is, this is the example, so unit is actually the total number of excavators required for this entire or complete activity. For example, if you have 10 days of activity and per day if you need 0.5 of excavator, then the total number of excavator to complete this activity will be 5. Budget unit is the total unit planned for a given resource for an activity to complete. Budget unit is actually the total number of units which you are planning to assign to an activity to complete this activity on time. Budget unit per time is the total unit planned per day of a given resource for activity to complete. Budget unit is actually the total unit which we are planning for the entire activity to complete, and budget unit per time is the total units of resource required on daily basis for an activity. Now we have fixed duration and unit. Fixed duration and unit means the number of days for an activity to complete is fixed, and fixed unit means that the total number of resources for this activity is also fixed. In this case, the duration of activity and the total units of the resources will be independent from each other. Here we have one table. If the type is fixed duration and unit, the duration will be fixed and the budget unit of resource will be fixed and budget unit per time will be variable. By changing the duration of any activity, the total resource unit required for that activity will be unchanged, but the unit per time means the daily productivity will change. So to complete the activity on time, you should have to check the unit per time. Duration type is used with the task dependent activity. As the task dependent activity, duration is fixed. Duration type is used when the schedule is more important than the availability of the resources. So now what we will do is we discuss, for example, this is one activity and we have a resource assigned to this activity. Now in the general tab, first of all, we'll start with the fixed duration and unit. But for the fixed duration and unit, you should have to keep the activity type as a task dependent. So now we have the resource assigned here. We have the duration for this activity, for example 5 days, and the budget unit per time for this activity is 1, and the total budget unit is 5. So as we discussed that the duration for the, in case of fixed unit and duration, the duration and the units will be, the total units will be fixed. So from the resource window, we have the duration for this activity and the total budget units, these will be fixed. So if you change the total budget unit for this activity, for example 6, so then the duration will not change, but the budget unit per time, as we discussed, it's variable, so it will change. So by changing the budget unit or the duration, for example if you make it here 6 days, so here the budget unit is changed. If you make it 10 days, the budget unit per time will change, but the total budget unit will remain same. So by changing the budget unit per time will change, and the duration will remain constant. Or by changing the duration for this activity, the total budget unit will remain same, and the unit per time will change. So here the only variable factor will be the budget unit per time. Okay, now next is fixed duration and unit per time. Here the fixed duration means the number of days for the activity complete is fixed. Here same, we have same. Again, as in the previous case, the duration will be fixed again. And the fixed unit per time means the daily availability of the resource for this activity is also fixed. So in this case, the unit per time means the daily basis, the resources on the daily basis will be fixed, and the duration is fixed. So here again we have, first of all, what we will do, a fixed duration and unit per time. We can use this type of duration with task dependent activity only. So in this case, the duration of the activity and the total unit, the resource will be independent from each other. So here the duration and the unit per time will be independent of each other. And here we have the duration type as fixed duration and unit per time. The duration of activity is fixed and the budget unit of resources are variable. So this will be variable and the budget unit per time will be fixed. Hence, by changing the duration of any activity, the unit per time required, i.e. the daily productivity for this activity will unchanged, but the total resource unit required for this activity will change. Okay, this duration type is used with task dependent activity, as the task dependent activity duration is fixed. So in case of task dependent activity, the duration will be fixed. That's why we will use fixed duration and unit per time always with task dependent activity. The duration type used when the total output required is unknown and how much can be produced in a daily basis is governing factor. So this type of duration type will be used when you know that how much will be the duration for this activity and how much is the daily production or daily availability of the resource, and the total number of budget unit is not known. So now what we will do, we will go to Primavera and again we will select the activity type as task dependent, and here now we will change the duration type as fixed duration and unit per time. Now we will go again to the resource window, and here now I will change first of all the duration to 12 days. Here we have the total budget as 20 and the budget unit per time is 2. By changing the duration to 12, let's see what will be the result. See now the budget unit per time is fixed 2 and the budget unit is increased to 24. Now if I want to change the total budget unit to 30, see in this case now we have the duration is fixed, because as we discussed that the duration in term of task dependent will be fixed. So by changing the budget unit here in term of fixed duration and unit per time, by changing the budget units, it will change your productivity. So by increasing the duration, this budget unit will increase but the productivity will be remain constant. So here if I want to keep the productivity same as 1 per day, so this will be the duration. By changing the duration now to 25 days, the total budget unit will change. But if you want to change the total budget unit to 30, it will change the productivity or budget unit per time, because the duration should be unchanged. So here in term of task dependent activity, the resources will not change the duration of the activities. The resources calculation will readjust between the budget unit and unit per time. Now next is fixed unit. This duration type is used with resource dependent activity. In this case, when the total work effort is most important, means that the total unit of resource are fixed. So here if you have the unit for a given resource is fixed, the total units are fixed, then you can use fixed unit. But this duration type we can use with resource dependent activities only. So here we have the duration type is fixed unit. The duration will be variable here. First of all, we are seeing that the duration is variable here and the total budget units will be fixed, and the budget unit per time for this resource will also be variable. So if we see here now in the same activity, what we will do, we will go to general, we will change the activity type to resource dependent, and we will keep here fixed unit. So with fixed unit you should keep the activity type as resource dependent, because we cannot use fixed unit with the task dependent activity. So if you are using resource dependent activity, you should have to keep fixed unit or fixed unit per time. Now we give here fixed unit per time. Now we will go to the resource window. Here now the important is these total units should be fixed. So by changing the productivity means the budget unit per time, if I change it to from 1.5 to 2, and you should have to witness this duration of activity. So if I change the total budget unit per time to 2, what will happen? Let's see. See, now the duration is decreased but the total budget unit remain constant. Now I want to change the budget unit to 35. What it will do? It will change the duration, because the budget unit per time will remain unchanged. So by changing the budget unit, it will change the total duration, and similarly by increasing the productivity, it will change the duration. So here by adjusting the unit, it will disturb the duration of the activity, because this activity is dragged by the resources. So the budget unit which we are keeping for the given resources, the duration will be calculated based on the calendar for this excavator. So by changing the budget unit for this activity or total budget units, it will readjust the duration for this activity. But in this case, budget unit, if you are changing the unit per time for this activity to 3, so this budget unit will be unchanged and the duration will be readjusted. This is the main concept. Next is fixed unit per time. This type indicates that the availability of resources governing aspect. Therefore, the unit per time are fixed and the duration and the unit can be varied. This type is also used with resource dependent activities. So here in this case, for the fixed duration and unit, the duration will be variable and the total budget unit will be variable, but the fixed thing here will be budget unit per time. So here again what we will do, we'll go to general status and we'll keep here budget unit per time. And now we see here the duration for this activity is 12 and we have the budget unit per time is 3, the duration time is unit per time, and the total budget units are 35. So here in this case, the budget unit per time will be fixed and these two will be the variable. So by changing the duration here 14 days, see, the total budget unit will change but the budget unit per time will remain same. Here if you want to change the total budget units to 45, see, the duration will change but the unit per time will remain same. So by changing the duration for this activity, it will readjust the total budget unit but the total budget unit per time will remain same. Or by changing the budget unit, for example 50, it will change the duration for this activity. One thing more, if we keep here now the fixed unit for this and go to the resource, so now the unit is fixed and the duration and the budget unit per time will be variable. So now by changing the budget unit per time to 5, it will readjust the duration and the budget unit will remain same. Or by changing the duration, it will change the unit per time, the budget unit will remain same. So fixed duration and unit per time we can use with task dependent activities only, and here the duration of the activity will be fixed and the units, here the total units will be fixed but the unit per time will be can be changed, and in unit per time the unit per time will be fixed and the total unit can be varied. And in case of fixed unit, this and fixed unit per time, these two types we can use with the resource dependent activity. And for this per fixed unit, the total budget unit will be fixed and the unit per time and the duration of the activity can be changed. And similarly in case of fixed unit per time, the unit per time for the resource will be fixed but the total budget unit can be changed and the duration will also be variable. So that's it for today. If you like the video, please subscribe my YouTube channel and follow my Facebook page Business Innovation. Thanks for watching.